So we don't have much time, so normally I do live demos, I love it. Because with our tool, when you do a live demo, people can really have this wow thing, because they see how easy it is to do with structure many things. And that's the product we're going to talk about. So yeah, but since we are short on time, I'll try to give a brief overview of the tool, what it does, and then you can find me and I can show you all the details and really go deep in it. I've been working for ALM Works for 7 years. I joined the company when it consisted of our CEO and lead developer and 3 other guys. And I saw the structure in the making and its release at the Atlassian Summit, which was the first one for me as well, 7 years ago. Since then, we grew up to over 30 people. We've opened another office here in Boston. We have over 4,000 customers, and basically pretty much any large company that is using JIRA is using structure. A little bit of history, so how it started. It was a very long time ago. There were not that many add-ons. You can see the date, September 2004. That's the time when this ticket was created. Sub-issues should be able to contain their own sub-issues. Yeah, in JIRA you have an issue, sub-issue. You have JIRA Agile, JIRA software, sorry. You have epics, issues or stories, sub-issues. But this is great for the team level. So you have Scrum boards, but imagine you have 5 teams working. By the way, here in the audience, who is managing more than one team? Okay, so yeah, you have a question. How do you create an overview of all those teams? You can create another Scrum board, which will incorporate all that. But what if you need to go even higher? I mean, you have 20 teams. So it will be a very large board, and it's not going to be convenient. So you want to scale up. You want to have visibility, what happens to all your teams. So you build one level up. You can create initiatives, for example. You can link them to your epics, stories, etc. But when you're looking at the story, you can't see to which initiative it belongs, because you only see the epic. So not good. So the answer we came up with was it's called Structure, our add-on. Which basically allows you to build structures, and essentially it was just the tool that allows you to build hierarchies out of your issues. As we put it on the marketplace, well, there was no marketplace at that time. So anyway, people started using it, and we realized that it has great potential because it can be used for so many things, for project management, test cases management. Essentially, it became a tool for lots of use cases, and it still is. And this is partly our problem. It's hard for us to really understand who should we target when I do a presentation like this, because I don't know what kind of problems you guys have, but if you have thousands of issues to deal with every day, that can be a solution. And Atlassian themselves called it Swiss Army knife, because essentially it's a tool that you can use for anything. And I'll try to explain a little bit how it does it. By the way, how many people, Greg already asked, how many of you use structure, have seen it? Okay. So if you have any questions, again, I'm the man to ask. So this is what it looks like. Essentially, you have the hierarchy, as I promised. So you can take all your JIRA issues, and you can use existing ones and organize them. You can do it by hand, or you can do it using special mechanism for building structures dynamically. So it will be pulling in data in a hierarchy form based on existing relationships in your JIRA, for example, issue links, subtask relationship, epic links, the links created by portfolio, we support that as well, or whatever. We also integrate with other guys. I'll talk about that later. And the other part is data that you want to see. So we have like the list, and you probably want to see some valuable things, some information like the cost, the spend time, whatever. It all can be rolled up, and we'll go through that in a minute. So that's another view of the structure. So you basically get a structure widget where you have the hierarchy. If you click an issue, you see all the details. So everything is really, like, you don't have to switch context. You work with structure and you can stay there for as long as you need, and you don't have to open other pages. So the biggest benefit of structure, essentially, it sounds like, yeah, portfolio has hierarchy, other tools as well. The biggest benefit of structure is its flexibility. You don't have to have a certain specific workflow approach to the way you do it. You do it the way you want to do it. And then in structure, you set it up to support your specific workflow and your specific process, your specific organization of projects in JIRA. You may have project per like tier, I don't know, portfolio project, program project, team project. Or you can have one big project for one department and there have your initiatives. So it doesn't really matter for structure. And you can use any link types to connect issues. So you can pull in, I don't know, your blockers, but you can also pull in, I don't know, some other kind of dependent issues. So it's really, really flexible and can be adjusted for the process you have. And we also integrate with other things. So we do have our own, add-on for integrating with Confluence, and you can, in the latest structure, you can use not only issues, but also Confluence pages. We integrate with X-ray test system, for example, so they have their own relationships between test sets and tests, etc. And we are working with adaptivist people as well. I don't know if they're aware, but there are some things cooking. And we also integrate with Portfolio, of course. So you can have your portfolio plans, and those who use Portfolio probably know that, for example, I don't know, there are some basic things like you can't see all the custom fields that you're working with in the portfolio view, so you can build the same kind of view in structure and get all the data that you want to see. This is just one example of the hierarchy you can build, quite a frequent use case, some kind of scaled agile, can be safe or whatever. In fact, we learned that many customers do some kind of scaled agile, and actually we discovered that safe exists quite a bit later. But the idea is the same, like you want to have higher level items, like distributed, and then you have the teams. In this example, you can see we have a couple of Confluence pages which describe our strategy theme, then we have things linked to it, and it's all built automatically based on the dependencies. And for example, you have a page linked to some issues, these issues will be pulled into your structure automatically, so you don't have to maintain it. And well, actually you can talk to guys like C Prime, for example, who are experts on implementing safe with structure. And here, this is another view of the same set of issues, well, essentially. So we had some stories here at the low level. This is where we actually do our work. But we may want to see some other kind of, this is like work breakdown, right? We see the progress all rolled up, and we'll touch that in details a bit later. But I also may want to see different kind of information. So in this example, we took all the stories and we did the breakdown by assignee and by sprint. So I can easily see, for example, the remaining estimate for the sprint, and then I can see it for every person. And the cool part is that everything is drag and droppable. So you can take this story, drag it somewhere else. It will be automatically reassigned to the user in the sprint. So you can do, for example, some kind of work balancing in an easy way. And all the fields, by the way, are editable, so you just need to click it, double click it, and you can edit it. So it's like a big spreadsheet, and if you need to edit many issues like at the same time, there you go. So we discussed how you build them. Data presentation, really important. So I mentioned you can show pretty much any field, unless it's like the field that contains a table or something crazy that doesn't fit into this view. You can do inline editing, and we have a few really useful parts. One is progress column, which can be configured to show progress based on time tracking, issue, story points, statuses, whatever. You can do totals, so you can roll up anything. I don't know, you know the price of every task. You can quickly see the entire price of the project. And in the latest version, we've introduced formulas, which brings Excel-like functionality into structure, so you can build really complex formulas right there. Here is an example, like total underestimation. We've created our own language for building the formulas. There is a bit of a learning curve, but it's not rocket science. You can manage it, and you don't have to export things to Excel. Well, you can do that, but it's not really necessary anymore because you can get all your data right here. Visibility. we try to make sure that structure is present everywhere in your JIRA. So you don't have to go to structure page every time you need to see something. And so there is the main view. There is issue page. So if you go to an issue page, it looks like this. There is a section with your structure. So you're looking at an epic, and you immediately see the entire context. You don't have to, you don't have to look for this document by going here and then going here. You see it right away, and then you see the stories underneath the epic as well. And the time tracking can also be adjusted based on your structure. So it will take into account all the children and can calculate the time spent and everything. So yeah, as I mentioned, there are no rules. You use it for whatever you want. Build portfolio overviews. We have a lot of customers using it for test management, because I don't know, how many people use Zephyr? Maybe, well, once you get to 5,000 test cases that you need to maintain and reuse for every release, you will quickly realize it's a pain. And a lot of people use structure for just creating the hierarchy, like a catalog of all test cases they have, and they will pull in the ones they need, build a structure for every release, something like that. So you can be really creative with it. And often we have to do it, like customer comes and say, hey, we have this problem. So you start thinking and you come up with a cool structure that really solves it. So yeah, it's not prescriptive, and it may be may give you a little bit too much freedom, but after you figure out how it works, it really, you have a lot of potential. And as I mentioned, it's just one tool, you learn it, and then you just create all kinds of views. So structure itself is useful already, but we also have some extensions. I've already mentioned Pages, which is the tool for bringing Confluence pages into your JIRA. So you can see here, you just use them just as issues, and you can edit, create new pages, so everything works. Testy is a small extension which can help you use structure as a lightweight testing tool. So it basically turns your structure into like a checklist, and then you can see the roll-up of the statuses. And well, funnily enough, some customers said, hey, we want this for risk management. We don't want to set passed failed. We want like high risk, low risk. Some C prime customers, by the way. So yeah, we're working on that, like some small improvements. And I saved the best for last, of course. Something we've been working on for the last probably half a year, and now almost the entire team is on it, working towards the beta. It's the Gantt chart extension for structure, which is bringing Gantt chart into JIRA based on structure. So if you already have a structure, then it's going to be free. So if you already use structure, in a couple of weeks you can start. By the way, has anyone tried it already? Because we had like a super early adopt. Okay, no one. So yeah, before the summit we'll have it released. Well, everyone knows what the Gantt chart is. No need to explain that. The things we are focusing on, it's performance, although the beta still needs a bit of tweaking. And we won't have any limitation, any hard limit on the number of issues. We currently target 10,000 issues per plan, but hopefully we'll be able to expand further. Just like structure, it will be very flexible. So you have, for example, duration, which can be defined based on time tracking. So you'll be, I don't know, you can see here, like this would be the original estimate, time spent. But you can also use story points instead and define some velocity. The beta will be, like, it's not going to have all the features, but you'll be able to get the idea of everything and how it works. Same for dependencies, you'll be able to define which link type you want to use for dependency. So same for start and end date. So, and the latest thing we've just added is resource planning. So there will be no automatic planning like in portfolio, at least not right now, but you'll be able to do capacity planning and resource allocation. So you'll see that if there is some overbooking, you'll see that immediately. And it does some basic planning based on dependencies and durations. Okay, so I was really fast, right? So if anyone has any questions? Yeah, sure.
I apologize, I've never heard of your add-on before today.
Oh, no problem.
Is the same functionality available for both the cloud version and the server version?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, cloud so far does not. That's something we're actively working on. Our guys just got back from Connect Week in Austin. We have 3 people working on it full time. It's not going to be the same. It's probably going to be like Structure Lite or something like that, at least in the beginning. And we'll definitely develop as Atlassian develops cloud platform. I can't promise anything in terms of dates. We hope to have something next year, early next year, but it's going to be mostly manually editable structures. But it's definitely something. It's like after Gantt, this is our top priority. Sure.
I'm curious to what extent some of the relationships that are represented in structure are available in other areas of JIRA. So, for instance, in the use case you described, where can your subtask have a subtask? So in JIRA, if I'm in a subtask, first of all, can I just say create subtask and now it works? Or do I have to do that through a widget for
So, okay.
Follow-up, the flip side of that coin is, if I'm in another part of JIRA, let's say I did a search and a filter. In JIRA, when it lists tasks that are subtasks, it sort of shows you the path. It has the parent, and then a slash, and then the actual thing. Would this have 3 of those, or is that relationship only visible to me in a structure widget?
Well, it's only visible in, okay, so you can build your structure based on existing relationships, but then, yeah, you can also build it manually, so you can, in structure, you can build whatever you want. And it's only visible in structure widget, but the thing is we try to put it everywhere. You can have it on dashboards, so, I mean, what if you're looking at an issue, you have the structure widget right there, so you'll see all your hierarchy there, so you can see there. If you are looking, I don't know, you can even put it on a Confluence page, and then you will have the hierarchy there as well, preserved. So if you search for things, yeah, you will find the top one.
Can you make a page? Can you make a child using the structure widget on the page?
Yeah, you can create new issues right there. So you have your structure open, you hit Shift Enter, and you create the subtask.
Okay.
So you can create new issues as well, right through the.
Inside of structure, is that what?
Yeah. I can show you. As I mentioned, live demos are more like you get better ideas, better understanding, but it's you can go too deep. Sure.
Going the other way up, I had challenges going above an epic, and I saw how you have features and capabilities, initiatives. Were those just new issue types that you created in JIRA?
Yeah. So that's one of the options that you have. You just decide, okay, this is the project I use for my portfolio level. This is the project I use for my. It can be anything. Really, for structure, it doesn't really matter. And you decide, I'm using this link type for this kind of relationship, and then you just maintain it. And when you change things in structure, it will update the link, and the other way around. If someone, so imagine you create an initiative, and you want to break it down into other issues. So you can create those other issues in JIRA, and as soon as you link them to this initiative, they will appear as children in structure. Or you can do it right inside the structure board, which is much easier.
I guess the problem I was faced with is, JIRA's limitation on, you can't do epics of epics. JIRA.
There are several ways to approach it, and different customers manage it differently. So would you want to have like a Scrum board where you have one epic like of one level, and then we saw something like people want to have Scrum board for the executive level and then Scrum board for the team, and the problem is building this link where the story of the one board becomes the epic for the epic of the other one, and it's a bit difficult to overcome in an elegant way because JIRA just doesn't give you that. But in structure, you can easily create this visualization, and just you will just need to remember that you are using not epic link but just some other link to reflect this dependency. I can go and again set up something to make it more visual rather than just talking.
You could name it my fake epic.
Yeah, something.
Can you write a filter in JIRA though against the relationships and structure?
You can, for example, you can write a query. We have like an extension for JQL, which allows you to write a query, give me all the children of a certain issue in a certain structure.
Oh, okay.
So, depending on what you want. There are more things you can do, but we need to better understand the...
Does that all come with the structured licensing, or are those
Yeah.
ones?
Okay, I think we're ready to continue. And yeah, I'll be around. Find me and I'll be happy to answer.
You're so